In today's video, we're going to talk about a shocking story from the past, where a man ended up killing his own nephew. But the real question is why? What could possibly drive someone to such a brutal decision? Stay with us as we uncover a tale of darkness, justice, and an unthinkable sacrifice. Many years ago, in a city where honor and power shaped the lives of people, there lived a young man whose arrogance knew no limits. He wasn't just privileged, he was untouchable. With wealth in his hands and pride in his veins, he spent his nights drowning in alcohol and causing chaos. But his worst crime wasn't what he drank. It was how he treated others. Every evening, under the cover of darkness, he walked the streets drunk, targeting young women, harassing them without fear, laughing as if the world belonged to him. One day, his twisted path led him to a quiet corner of the city, where an elderly woman lived with her two young daughters. Their home was small but filled with dignity. Yet, that dignity was shattered the moment he forced his way into their lives. He knocked on their door not for help or kindness, but to torment, to scare, and to dominate. The moment he laid eyes on the girls, something dark awakened in him. And from that night onward, he kept coming back, drunk, loud, dangerous. The old woman would plead, ask him to leave, but he would only laugh louder. Her daughters began living in fear. Their laughter vanished, their world dimmed, and yet no one stopped him, because no one dared, because no one knew who he really was. As the boy continued his torment, something inside the elderly woman snapped. She could no longer watch her daughters suffer in silence. Something had to be done, but who could help them? Her world had been turned upside down, and she knew that the darkness would only grow unless she took action. One morning, as the sun began to rise, casting an orange glow over the kingdom, the old woman made a decision. With no more tears left to shed, she gathered what little strength she had left and set off toward the royal court. She had heard rumors of a powerful ruler who could bring justice, someone who held the power to make things right. With nothing but the clothes on her back, she walked, her heart pounding with every step. She didn't know who this ruler truly was, nor did she realize that the very person who could change her fate was someone she knew, someone who was tied by blood to the boy who had ruined her family's peace. But she couldn't think about that now. All she could think of was her daughters, their faces etched in fear, their lives forever changed by the monster who came knocking on their door each night. When she arrived at the royal court, her voice broke as she spoke of the torment her daughters had suffered. "Please, your majesty," she cried, "stop this cruelty. My daughters have been harmed, night after night, and no one dares to stop him. He haunts our lives. He is a monster in the form of a man." The ruler, hearing her broken plea, stood in silence for a long moment. His anger swelled, but it wasn't just anger for the woman's pain. There was something deeper, something he could not yet fully comprehend. All he knew was that the cruelty described before him could not go unpunished. He vowed then and there, with a voice full of determination, "I will find this man. I will not rest until he pays for his actions. No one should live in fear like this." The ruler stood there, a storm of emotions brewing within him. The pain in the woman's voice, the horror in her eyes, and the image of the two young girls who were now prisoners in their own home. All of it cut through him like a blade. But as he took a deep breath, something changed within him. This wasn't just a case of right versus wrong. This was personal, and he knew that he could not rest until justice was served. The ruler's heart raced as he made a vow in that very courtroom. "I will not eat, I will not sleep, and I will not find peace until this boy is brought to justice." No one is above the law, and no one is exempt from the consequences of their actions. He turned away from the woman, his mind already racing with plans. Who was this young man? How did he walk freely, leaving pain and destruction in his wake? And how could someone so full of arrogance and cruelty have been allowed to continue without punishment? With his mind set, the ruler called upon his most trusted advisors and soldiers. "Find him. Follow every lead. Search every corner of the kingdom if you must. I want this man found, and when he is, I will make sure justice is served." The ruler then began his own quiet investigation. He spoke to people in the streets, questioning anyone who might know of the boy's whereabouts. The anger inside him began to boil. Each story he heard about the boy's actions only deepened his resolve. Days passed, but there was no sign of the young man. And yet, the ruler's determination grew stronger. He knew one thing for certain. Once he found this boy, there would be no escape, no mercy, only justice. The days passed by, but the search for the boy seemed endless. The ruler's mind couldn't rest, his thoughts consumed by the torment the boy had caused. His heart ached for the elderly woman and her daughters. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this story, something hidden in the shadows, waiting to be revealed. It wasn't long before the ruler's investigation led him to an unexpected discovery. After weeks of relentless searching, a trusted messenger brought him the truth. The boy causing all this chaos, the boy whose name had become synonymous with terror, was none other than his own nephew. The ruler's world came to a halt. His hands trembled as he held the letter, the words in it sinking deep into his soul. The boy tormenting innocent lives was the son of his brother, someone he had loved and respected. How could this be? How had his own flesh and blood become such a monster? For days, the ruler sat in silence, his mind a storm of conflicting emotions. He saw flashes of memories, the boy as a child, innocent and full of potential. He remembered the days when his brother would bring his son to the palace, full of laughter, full of hope. But now, the same boy had become a source of terror. The ruler wrestled with his emotions, the love he once had for his family, and the overwhelming need for justice. But he knew what had to be done. Despite the pain in his heart, he understood one thing: justice must come first. No one, not even family, could be allowed to harm others without facing the consequences. The ruler took a deep breath, his resolve hardening. Family cannot stand above justice, he muttered to himself, even if it costs me everything. And so, with a heavy heart, he began to make his plans. The ruler's heart was heavy with the weight of his decision, but he knew it was the only way. No longer could he allow his nephew's cruelty to continue, no matter the blood ties that bound them. His duty was clear: to protect the innocent, to uphold justice, no matter the cost. It was on a moonless night that the ruler's plan unfolded. The nephew, as arrogant and reckless as ever, had returned to the elderly woman's home, as he did every night, drunk and brimming with malice. The ruler had prepared for this moment. His soldiers had arrived before him, and the house was now cloaked in darkness, the lights dimmed, and the air thick with tension. As the boy entered the house, confident that no one would stop him, he was met with an eerie silence. He laughed, thinking it to be some trick of the night. But as his eyes adjusted, he saw the shadow of the ruler, standing tall and silent in the corner of the room. The boy froze. "Do you know who I am?" The ruler's voice was cold and unforgiving. The boy stood still, confusion crossing his face. "I am your uncle, and it's time for you to face the consequences of your actions." In that moment, the ruler's soldiers locked the doors, trapping the boy inside with nowhere to run. The ruler stepped forward, unsheathing his sword, his eyes filled with both sorrow and resolve. The boy's face twisted with fear and disbelief, but there was no escape. The ruler's voice was low and unwavering. "You have terrorized the innocent, destroyed lives, and taken away the peace of this land. I gave you a chance to change, but you chose to follow the path of destruction. Now, you must pay." With that, the ruler's sword struck. The boy collapsed, his life extinguished in an instant. The ruler stood over him, his heart heavy, but his mind at ease. Justice had been done. Later, when his advisors asked why he had chosen to turn off the lights before the killing, the ruler looked at them with steely eyes. "I did not want to see the face of my nephew as I did this," he said. "I needed to make sure that I was doing this out of justice, not out of familial love. I could not let my emotions cloud the truth. The lights were off so that I would not see him as family, but only as the criminal he had become." And that, my friends, is the story of a ruler who sacrificed his own blood for the greater good. A tale of justice, betrayal, and the price of righting a wrong. What do you think about the ruler's actions? Was his choice of justice justified, or could there have been another way? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful tales like this one.